I'm a town councillor from a town of 1,500 people, which has 9 public authorities spending £10 million a year in the town. We started 3 years ago, set up a programme called Sensible Spending, where 4 of those authorities gave us £15,000 for local people to vote from those mainstream budgets on what they thought the priorities are for improving local groups in the town, and that provided the basis when the cuts came along for the town to gather together and take a reform approach to cutting the library, the recycling centre, the youth club, and also having the car parks taken back by a distant council. That process unearthed a whole range of bad spending decisions being made by distant authorities in the town, and local people have formed action groups following a meeting of 300 people to up the precept on the town council and grant aid a number of local projects in order to buy time, in order to get asset transfer from the county council, set up a business plan to run the recycling centre. So it's gone beyond budgets now into mainstream resources being devolved to this small market town. 1,500 people serves 4,500 people in the villages around, so quite an important hub town. And the town already runs, we've discovered, 24 public facilities, like the sports field and the cemetery and the town hall and the heritage centre. They're either managed or in most cases owned by people locally already in management groups, so it's not very difficult to see the possibility of this town being a hub. PB has created the foundations for people in the town to take a different approach to the delivery of public services. People can see their own budget understanding, budget literacy as it's called, has increased. They begin to realise which authorities are responsible for what, and they can see ways in which they can reduce costs and increase benefits for local people. Being a small rural community, we haven't got any paid staff, so there's about 70 real activists involved at the moment. They're the people oiling the wheels, doing the secretarial work, all of that. Negotiating with the distant authorities between 20 and 30 miles away is quite difficult. They've got their own priorities. They don't necessarily understand Dulverton, they're not stakeholders in the local community and so on. Plus those distant councils are suffering from reduced budgets themselves, so they're trying to survive. But they're trying to survive at the expense of services in Dulverton that local people feel they ought to be able to run themselves. It's a hub town, it's very isolated, it's never really felt that it's part of the different administrations that spend some of that 10 million in the town. It has a very strong tradition of doing things for itself. It's probably an appropriately sized community. 1,500 people in the town, lots of people coming in from different directions to use the shops, the bank, the post office and so on. So it's a good size, very similar to neighbourhood sizes, neighbourhoods and wards in cities. And it's not just a rural idyll. I mean, there's poverty, there's housing problems, and there are different constituencies. But in competing locally, people are accountable to one another.